all looks that it is all outside. So even though it is outside, Bahiriva Udbhutam, it looks as if it has arisen. Udbhuta means arisen. Bahihi, outside. But actually, Nijantargatam, it's all taking place inside only. So in the dream, the entire thing looks realistic. Similarly now, to us, all things happening in the world, everything looks realistic. If in the dream, if somebody comes and beats me or cuts my hand, the result seems to be a truth, because you immediately feel the pain and your heart will be palpitating if a tiger is to pursue in the dream. And in the dream, if 100 Shantanandas were to come and tell you, don't run man, it's only a dream, you are not going to believe it. And the same thing happens in this waking state. This waking state is only a second dream. Only thing is, it is a bit longer dream. It is not for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, but it is for 80 years or 90 years or 70 years. But even that is no criterion. Because inside the dream, sometimes you find in 15 minutes, 11 o'clock you went to bed, you got up at 11:15. Within 15 minutes you went, as a young boy, you went to Calcutta, you set up some business. Some 30 years, 40 years you lived there, and then one day you want to return back to Tiruvannamalai, and then you get up. And you find you lived 40 years inside your dream, the entire thing has taken place within 10 minutes. So, one moment, not only one birth, all your births are taking place in one moment. The entire thing is an appearance. So as such, it is as much a dream as your other dreams only. So the waking state is another dream, and we have to wake up from this also. And that is why this Dakshinamurti Stotra has come up. When once it wakes up, through the instructions of a competent master, a guru, who is himself self-realized, then suddenly your sleep ceases, your dream ceases. This waking state is another dream. It is a longer dream, when the dream state can be considered as a short-term dream. This is a long-term dream, but both are dreams. But when once you wake up, you find yourself alone. And the one who enables you to wake up like this is that Guru Murti, who is none other than the great Lord Shiva, who is himself Dakshinamurti. Lord Shiva, the inner guide, the inner controller, who is the very self, he comes as the external guru. That is why every shloka ends by saying, I surrender myself by prostrating before the Dakshinamurti. Pashyan Atmani Mayaya. How then this illusory projection comes? If the self alone is, where from such multiplicity came, how did the one become many? The answer will come in the second stanza in a more detailed way. Here he has only told, Pashyan Atmani Mayaya. It is all due to the Maya Shakti. What is that Maya Shakti? It is the power of the Lord. It is the power of the self. The self has got immense powers, infinite powers. When it could create a world, it can create anything. So it has got its own Shakti, its own power, which is termed as Maya. Maya doesn't mean illusion. Maya doesn't. Maya means that power of the Lord which creates this sort of an illusion before you, that as if you are seeing the animals, as if you are seeing the entire world,
and then you establish your relationship with the various people in this world. So all these things come up. So that is called, what is called the Maya Shakti. Maya Shakti, whether it is real, whether it is unreal, it is impossible to define it. It is indefinable. We call it as Anirvachaniya. Anirvachaniya means that which cannot be expressed in words. You cannot define it. See what happens? Supposing you are holding a coin in your hand. That is a small child aged 3 before you. You just show, look here, I am going to do something. This is an 1 rupee coin, is it not? Yes, the child says. You just do like this, and some trick you drop it, and then you say, where is that? See, it has gone. What has happened? What will the child say? The child will say magic. What do you mean by magic? Magic means it is something which cannot be explained. It is something which is beyond the reasoning, which is beyond our logic, which cannot be explained. So, instead of the term magic, which is a worldly term, which is a laukika expression, we are using a nobler expression. We call it as Maya. Maya only means that which could not be explained. There is nothing called magic. Magic is not some specific thing, but the effect of it is your creation of an illusion. That's all. That illusion, how it came, it cannot be explained. That is what is called the Maya. But positively, it is the power of that Supreme Lord whom we call the Self. Pashyannatmani Mayaya. The entire world, it looks as if it is outside, actually it is inside you. In the dream you feel, you find an entire world outside, you see the elephant outside, you see the horses outside, but then where are they? They're all inside your mind. The entire thing is a fabrication of your own mind. So it is inside. But then, by some means, by some illusory power, you find that as if it is all happening outside you. And you are the witness, you participate in it, you run away from the horses, you run away from the elephants, somebody catches you. So all these things are happening as if it is all outside. The same thing in the waking state. It all looks as if it is all happening outside you. The entire thing is a cosmic dream of the cosmic being called the Self. So it is all happening inside the Self, but because of Maya, it looks to us as if it is outside. It is to the dream figures, it looks as if it is outside. In the dream, your own duplicate is there, the dreamer's duplicate. And he finds that everything is happening outside. So the same thing here also. Actually it is inside. Bahirivodbhutam yatha nidraya. Yatha nidraya means just as if in a dream. Yatha means just like. Nidraya. Here nidra normally means sleep. Here it means the dream state. So just as in the dream state, bahirivodbhutam, you think that the entire thing is outside you. You think that the world is running outside you. You think this entire audience is outside you. You think that this entire the Ramana shrine is outside you. The Ramana shrine is very much inside you. It is very much inside the cosmic being whose dream figures we are. Then what happens? Yas sakshat kurute prabodha samayam swatmanameva dvayam. It is only the Guru who can help you wake up. Yaha, that Guru or that Dakshinamurti who prabodha samaye, he wakes you up then when she wakes you up, the moment you wake up, what do you see? Sakshat Kurute. He makes you realize. He makes you realize what? Swatmanam. You find that there is no world. The moment you wake up from this dream, you find that no world exists. You find your own self. You come face to face with your own identity as to who am I. The answer to who am I, you get it at that time. Yes, Sakshat Kurute. When that Guru, either in the form of Dakshina Murti living inside you, or out of compassion, if you are not capable of utilizing that inner guide, then out of compassion, that very self takes an external form of a guru, a competent master, and it comes before you and wakes you up. When once it wakes you up, Prabodha Samaye. Samaya means time. Prabodha means waking up. At the time of waking up, what does he see? Swatmanam. He sees himself. He sees his own, the real self. And what else he sees? Advayam, nothing else, nobody else. The bare self alone and self alone, there is nothing else. The self alone has always existed in the past, in the present, and in the future. The rest which we see, it is all an appearance. And that is why they never remain. They come and go. Just like the dream, everything comes and goes. Nothing remains forever. Everything is evanescent, transitory. Nothing is permanent. And that is why this world has been likened to a peepal tree. The peepal tree in Sanskrit, it is called the Ashwatha. The word Ashwatha has got a second connotation, a second meaning. Shva means tomorrow. Tha means that which remains. A is a negative particle. That which you see today, but will not remain tomorrow. Tomorrow means after some time. So that which is not going to remain permanent, that which will not remain for tomorrow, Ashwatham. That is why the world has been likened to a peepal tree. That is Ashwatha, while the world is also Ashwatha. That which will not remain for many days. It will appear, it will disappear too. Self alone remains forever. Swatmanameva Advayam. Advayam means without a second. Dvaya means second, A is a negative participle. So Advayam, without a second, the self alone, the bare self and nothing else. It is a self-realization. He comes face to face with himself. So far, he never knew his identity. He was acting the role of Mr. X, Swami Shantananda, Mr. Y, Mr. James, Mr. Krishnan, but he never knew himself. But now at last he comes face to face with himself. How? Only through the grace of that inner Guru. Yes, your efforts are needed, but it is the grace which completes it. Your efforts alone will not take you to the ultimate realization. That compassion, that grace of that higher self is very much essential. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshina Murtaye. To that Guru Murti, the external Guru, who is actually the form of Dakshinamurti himself, I bow. Namaha, we say we prostrate. How did the word Namaha came? In our scriptures called Arghabudini Samhita, it has been defined. Namama, namama, namaha. This is not mine, this is not mine, this is not mine. Leave of everything and then surrender solely to the Lord. That is called a Nama. Surrendering all your powers. Nothing is mine. These are all borrowed feathers. I don't have any power at all, Lord. All the power is yours. We are supposed to have three types of powers. One is called the power of imagination, the power of thought, and that is called the Ichha Shakti. Well, I shall go to Ramanashramam today. So this is Ichha Shakti. Supposing you are feeling hungry, your Ichha Shakti says, yes, now I have to appease my hunger. Now I'll have to find some means of taking something, some meals. Then comes Jnana Shakti. I have taken the decision, I am new to this place, I do not know where I can go to have my lunch, whether there are any good hotels nearby. So I had to acquire that knowledge. So when also I acquire that knowledge as to what are all the various hotels available nearby, then that is called the Jnana Shakti. That is the power of knowledge. What is the use of only knowing unless you implement it? I know there are hotels, but sitting at Ramanashramam, I won't get my meals. I have to go over there, take my feet and go to that place. I have to walk over to that place. And that is called the Kriya Shakti or the power of action. So these are all the three types of power with which we are motivated, with which we are activated. And none of them is yours. All these things all come from the self. They're all reflections of the infinite power of the Lord. A little of which has come to you. So, as such, when you unconditionally surrender yourself to the Lord, Lord, all these are yours. How? By falling flat on the ground. And all the indriyas which represents these three powers, they touch the ground. Supposing I just place it before her down below on the ground, that means, Mother, this is yours. So similarly, when we place ourselves on the ground, our head touches, and the head represents the Ichha Shakti. The Jnana comes from the heart, which is the source. So the Jnana Shakti, the heart touches the ground, the head touches the ground. Then your hand, feet, they are all representation of your Kriya Shakti, your power of action. So when you put them all down on the ground, it is a symbolic representation of your complete surrender, saying, Mother, I have absolutely no powers, all are thine. And that is meant by Namaha. So here is a case of unconditional surrender. Unless we do that to the Guru, to the Dakshinamurti, to the self, we will not be able to make progress in the spiritual field. The complete surrender of the ego, this I which is posing, the I which never existed, it has to disappear. Then only the real I will appear before you. Now we go to the next shloka. I would suggest that each one, if possible, you can try to get this book from this thing, because this contains 4 most important philosophical treatises, and we'll be taking them up one after another. So it is better that you keep one and then keep notes, because here you don't get the meanings word by word. And once you are doing it, when you are meditating on any one, each word, when the connotation comes, your mind will get concentrated. That is why we read it with the specific meaning of each, not only the general meaning of the stanza as a whole. Now we come to the next. Bijasyantarivang kuro jagadidam Prang-nirvikalpam punaha maya kalpita deshakala-kalana vaichitra-chitri-kritam maya-viva vijrimbhayatyapi mahayogiva yasvechhaya tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye namayidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. The oft disputed factor is the causality of the world. How the world came into existence, what caused it? Was it an intelligent cause or was it an inert cause? Was it something which had intelligence or which was something automatically which did something because of its very nature? We call them as insentient or inert. We say Jadavastu. Chaitanya means that which is conscious and that which has actually intelligence in addition. Anything which is conscious will have intelligence, because that very consciousness represents that knowledge. And so here he is going to explain that there are two types of causes. There are more than two types, but the main two causes for anything is two. How? Supposing there is a potter who is creating a pot. So for creating a pot, what are the things that are required? Number one, the material which pervades that entire pot, that is the clay. Without the clay, out of air, you can't prepare a pot. A pot requires a material cause that is called the upadana karana. These are all Vedantic terms. Upadana means the pervasive material around. So, the one which pervades that entire thing, the entire pot is made up of the clay. So that is called the material cause. Now, if a little of clay is kept, will the clay form itself into the form of a pot? Obviously not. It requires some Chaitanya, some conscious principle who will be able to shape the clay and subject it to various processes to create a pot. And he is called the efficient cause. Without his efficiency, the pot will not come up. So these are the two causes. The prime cause, you call it as the material cause. But the other one which is equally important, but for which the item cannot be produced, that is called the efficient cause, that is called nimitta karana. Upadana karana and nimitta karana. And how this world comes up, who is the nimitta karana, who is that material cause? Now he says, Bijasyantarivankuro jagadidam prang-nirvikalpam punaha. What was there before the world came up? What was there before the world came up? Before the world came up, there was nothing like the animals, there was nothing like the trees, the rivers, the plants, the men, the reptiles. Nothing was there. Nothing was there. It was all one. It was all an undifferentiated thing. Some existence was there. But that existence, you cannot say that the reptiles existed, The horses existed, the donkeys existed, men existed, the plants existed, the flora and the fauna. None of these things were there. The entire thing was undifferentiated. So in the beginning, Prak means before the creation of the world. Nirvikalpam, it was all absolutely undifferentiated. How was it undifferentiated? And how from that undifferentiated one thing, how all these varieties, these variegated things, like the flora and the fauna, like men, like animals, how did they come up? The example for understanding it which he has given is Bijasya Antaha Ankuraha Iva. You just get a small seed. The banyan tree, the seed you will find is so small, is very small. When you open it, inside you will find nothing. It is all the same, the seed. But when once you sow the seed, out of that seed a very big tree has come, having roots, having a big stem, and having green leaves, and having some white flowers, and then having some yellow fruits. So many different things have come up, and that too so big. Where were they? Where were the leaves? Before the sprouting up of the tree, where was it? All the leaves, all the variegated colors, all the variegated forms of the leaves, of the fruits, of the stem, all these things were contained in a subtle form inside that seed, which cannot be seen with naked eyes, with our gross eyes. It was not visible, but then they could not have come out of nothing. They all came out of that seed. So the one small seed, which remained in an undifferentiated way, there was no such difference, saying this portion of the seed is the leaf, this portion of the seed is the root, this portion of the seed happens to be the stem. Absolutely none. It was an undifferentiated state. That is called the Nirvikalpa. Nirvikalpa means where there is nothing, the entire thing remains undifferentiated. There are no different things. There are no varieties. From that, Bijasya Antaha Ankuraha Jiva. Similarly, this entire world existed within that self. And then from this self, it has been projected outside. A musician sings some beautiful songs. Where from the songs came, they were already inside him. A painter brings out a beautiful picture on the canvas. Where from has it come? It has been originally visualized by him in his mind. It was all inside him, which he expressed it outside. Similarly, this beautiful painting with variegated things, animals, men, beings, this entire thing was all in a very subtle form in that self. And that self has projected it. Then that means they should be then real. If it has come from something real, self is real, and it is part of it which has come out of it, then it should be real. No, it has been come out of it through Maya Shakti. The Lord has used his illusory power to create an illusion. He has created just an illusion, and the illusion consisted of the entire world. with variegated things and animals and beings. How is it possible? What equipments she had, what materials she had, with what materials she did it, we accept the self has done it. Self is the potter. So this potter has created the pot. But where is the clay? Which clay has been used from where? So where is the material cause? Where is the upadana karana? He says, he did it from himself. It is through the maya, the illusory power. It is all himself which has come in this expression. The example which is normally given for this purpose is Yatornanabha Sujate Grunhate Cha. It comes in the Mundaka Upanishad. The spider, it creates a beautiful web. Out of what? Out of its own self. It takes out its own saliva, and from there it comes in beautiful strings form, and the entire thing comes. So as such, it is the spider which has projected itself in the form of a web. And after some time, it could gobble it back. It goes back into it. There is no web. Similarly, the self has projected the world out of its maya power, its illusory power, and it did it beautifully. It has also created, while creating these things, where will these things remain? A world has to be created. If you mean a world has to be created, that means there should be a New York. At some distance there should be Tiruvannamalai. At some distance there should be Madras. At some distance there should be Sweden. So you have to create space. And when space is created, time is automatic. In a graph, if there is an x-axis and y-axis, time-space is the x and y axis. Without that, the world cannot be formed. So, out of his maya, he created this beautiful world along with time and along with space. For instance, in your dream, as I was telling, very small room, just in a corner, you have got a very small room where you can barely lie down, nobody else can come inside the room even. And you dream suddenly that 200 elephants are pursuing you and they're all there. How inside this small room 200 elephants have come? Because you created a world with a large space where there are 200 elephants. And for half an hour you were running. So you created that time. You created that time. You created the space. Similarly, in the cosmic dream, the Lord created it. And that is why, if anybody asks you a question, when was the world begun? When was the world first created? The question is absurd. Because before the creation, there was no time. So there was no time. It was all in a moment. It was all done. There is no question of any time. You cannot say at 7 a.m. on the first AD or something like that. You cannot say. So the question is absurd. It cannot have a correct answer at all. So nobody can answer the question when the world was created. Then, how can it be done? How is it possible that all these things are done? He gives you the example. Are you not seeing a magician? Nowadays, perhaps you don't see such magicians, even though there are some people like P.C. Sarkar who use more tricks than the real magic. But in the olden days, we get accounts in the various books of various types of magics. In some of the Sanskrit texts of Kalidasa, you get the idea of certain magicians of those days. how the magicians work. He will come. He will be alone. The magician will be alone. He will just straight put a big rope. It will go into the air, it will stand just like a pole. How is it possible? But it will go for infinite distance, like it will look, it is going for miles together. And then this fellow will climb up the rope. You are seeing it. The entire thing is an illusion. And suddenly he finds from the sky hordes of enemies come, kings come with their entire armies, and this magician alone fights. He kills a number of people fall dead, and finally the magician himself falls dead. All the people will be aghast. Suddenly the entire illusion disappears. The magician will be there. Oh, thank you, he will say. The magician alone is left. So the entire thing was his magic. So he created without anything. He never brought anything with him. He created by his willpower or his hypnotic powers, by which he was able to put you into a delusion by what are called some psycho processes. They are known as hypnotism and mesmerism, and he was able to show you that. So in a similar manner, if it is possible for a juggler, why not for that self which has got an immense capacity and infinite powers? Then a doubt may arise. Who knows, the juggler may be using something which we do not know. Nowadays all the jugglers, all these magicians, most of them are all tricks and there is no real magic at all. So, in order to make you understand, he gives you another analogy, the analogy of a yogin, the analogy of one who practices yoga. Yoga is one of the paths to reach the heights of spirituality. So the one who does it, he is called a yogi. So in the olden days, people who had done a lot of austerities, they all got some mystic powers. For example, there was Vishwamitra. He was a king turned into a sage, and he did immense austerities, immense tapasya. As a result, he got a lot of mystic powers. The time came when he got annoyed with Indra. He sent one candidate called Trishanku, because he promised him, I will send you to the heavens, you can go along with this body. When he was going up, Indra by his power stopped him in the mid-track. So Trishanku was headlong at that time, and he happened to remain like that. Vishwamitra got annoyed. Yes, you have that temerity, he is my candidate, come on, I am going to create another heavens where there will be an Indra of my make. I will make him and he will heed my words. I am going to make another heaven. He began to create the heavens, and he created a number of stars. Then Indra got really terrified that he will be having a potential enemy, a potential competitor. He didn't want it. So Indra came along with Brahma and others and then requested him, please don't go ahead with your creation, but I will see that even though Trishanku is here, headlong here, he will get all the comforts, he won't feel it. That's what happened. So a yogi has got the powers to create another heavens, to create stars and to create Indra. Is it not possible for that self with its immense capacity? So he has given the analogy of a yogin. Just like a yogi, just like the magician, the Lord did it out of his own willpower. He just wanted it, so he just did it. See, it is actually means the willpower means it is something which is natural. That is why the Gaudapada, the Grand Guru of Shankara has said, Devasyesha Subhavoyam. The question arose, the Lord is supposed to be complete in himself, he doesn't lack anything, then why should he wish to create a world and to enjoy himself with this TV? He doesn't require a TV, then why should he enjoy himself with this? He doesn't have any desires. Then he said, it is not a question of wishing or desiring, it is automatically taking place in his body. His body is made up of lakhs and lakhs or millions of TVs. One is your life and another is his life, another is his life, another is my life. They are constantly going on. So, it is a part of his nature and there is no actual willpower which was used here. This is what is told. So, Bijasyantarivankuro Jagadidam. This world, how did it come up? Bijasya antaha. Inside a seed. Bija means a seed. Antaha means inside. Inside a seed, ankuraha iva. The entire sprout is inside. Whenever this sprout comes up, within a few days, it will get 2-3 leaves, and then it will grow into a plant, grow into a tree, with all its stems, with all the things that is there. So, just as the entire tree is in the form of a sprout inside the seed, Bijasya antaha ankuraiva, Praki nirvikalpam. Originally it was undifferentiated, just as the seed alone remained. Inside the seed there was no indication of the least sign of the leaf or the fruits or any of those things. So in a similar way, Maya kalpita desha kala kalana. The God used his, or the self used his Maya power, the power of the illusory power, the Maya. Maya is only a term. It is also known as nature. It is also known as Prakriti. Prakriti and Maya are one and the same. And because it is an illusion, this Maya is also called as avidya or ajnana or ignorance. It is that which covers your real knowledge as to what you are. So Maya kalpita. Kalpita means fabricated. It is the Maya which has fabricated it, an imagined fabrication. Maya kalpita desha kala kalana. With the help of space and time. Desha is space, kala is time. So the Maya created first the time and space, and with that Vaichitra Chitri Kritam, it became many. Vichitra means the variegated, the manifold nature of the world came up. The trees, the animals, the flora and the fauna. So all these things came up just like a painting. Chitri Kritam. The entire world, if only you see, sitting here, you see that, the entire thing looks as if it's a painting on a canvas. So Chitrikritam, the Lord painted on the canvas of his mind a very big world containing the various beings and the various things. And how did he do it? Maya viva vijrimbhati. Vijrimbhati means he manifested the world. The world was already existing inside. Just as the sprout was already existing inside the seed, the world didn't come out of outside. The world came out of his inside. So he manifested it outside. Vijrimbhayati. Maya viva. How did he manifest it? Just as Mayavi. Mayavi means a magician or a juggler. Just as he manifests that non-existent thing suddenly before you in exactly the same way. Or, to give you a better analogy, he says, Mahayogiva. Or, you may say, just like a big yogi, like Vishwamitra, who could create another world. Mahayogi. Well, why did he do it? Svechaya. It just came into his mind, out of his free will, he said, let me become many. It comes in the Upanishads. The Lord suddenly decided, so kamayata bahusyam prajayejamiti. Let me become many. He suddenly thought, the very thought created it. There is no question, after thinking, he just brought some bricks and mortar and created the world. No. The Venons, see, this is called Sankalpa Matrena. Even many of the Maharshis, the moment they think of it, it materializes. The very thought becomes solid. The thought power is so strong that power itself manifests and solidifies itself into that object. This can be done. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. We prostrate to that Guru Murti who has come in the external form, but who is verily the Dakshinamurti. Because he is the one who has created this entire world full of temptations and has put us all in a soup. But it is a cosmic soup. Then we go to the next. Yaseva spuranam sadatmakam asatkalparthakam bhasate sakshat tattvamasiti vedavachasa yo bodhayatyashritan yat sakshat karanat bhaven na punaravrittir bhavambo nidhau tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namayidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Here, this world, if you say it is only an illusion, how is it that it looks so real to us? It is not 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, for years, 60 years, 80 years, 90 years, we are experiencing it. If it was unreal, then how can we get a real dukkha, a real unhappiness, a real happiness? The happiness is real, because I am suffering from arthritis, I am suffering from TB, I am suffering from asthma, so all these sufferings are so real. You can't just wish it off and say, oh, it's all illusory. So, how can it come? And where does it exist? The point is, you always say, the pot is, the mat is, the cat is, the pillar is, the shrine is. So you are able to see its existence. You are feeling its existence. Yes, it exists. It is. So every object has got an isness, an existence associated with it. That is, its presence is a force which impresses itself